After 13 years of hits with Chicago, Peter Cetera decided to try an album on his own. This is Joel Denver for Earth News Radio. We'll find out why after this. When rock bands reach a certain plateau of success, it almost goes without saying that one or more members will want to go the solo route. Members of the Eagles, Fleetwood Mac, the Rolling Stones, and the Beach Boys have all been infected by the solo bug, and now it's Chicago bassist Peter Cetera's turn. Why do a solo album?
When I did my solo album, I kind of wanted to be separate from the group because this is a separate part of me. You know, this is my own personal music, so I kind of wanted the music to speak for itself. I didn't want anybody to have any kind of preconceived notions as to what it was going to be.
For Peter, a rocker since the mid-'60s with Chicago area groups like The Exceptions, there was always a conscious desire to step away from the Chicago sound.
Chicago was always thought of as jazz rock, and I was always a little bit upset about that because I'm a rock and roller. I'm not a jazz rock. You know, I have nothing to do with that side of it. And so I kind of wanted people to, to kind of knock people on their butts a little bit.
In the middle of a midnight dream, living in the night, see yourself on a silver screen. Living in the night, how you gonna keep them down on the farm? Never make them happy. How you gonna keep them close to home? Everybody here, heading for Halloween.
And Peter enjoyed the feeling of running the entire show himself.
For a long time, I've always wanted to do it all. You know, just for once in my life, I wanted to see what it was like to be the whole boss, and I really found it enjoyable, you know, not having anybody to argue with when you wanted something done.
Chicago has completed a new album, but Peter's thoughts are understandably concentrated on his own solo LP.
I'm still part of the group, as far as I know, but, you know, sometimes you take off time to do something that you've always wanted to do, and this is the time.
Living in the Limelight is the most popular song on his album. But tomorrow, Peter Cetera reveals that the limelight is not where he likes to be. This is Joel Denver, Earth News Radio. A 6-year-old song written with two Beach Boys wound up as a top cut on Peter Cetera's first solo album. This is Joel Denver for Earth News Radio. Peter talks about his songs after this. Chicago and the Beach Boys enjoyed a close relationship in the mid-'70s, touring together and collaborating on the hit single Wishing You Were Here. And when Peter Cetera of Chicago decided to record a solo album, a relic of another collaboration with Beach Boys Carl Wilson and Ricky Fataar gave him a song for the LP, I Can Feel It.
Though there's something I gotta do, I can feel it, yeah.
About 5 or 6 years ago, Ricky Fataar, myself and Carl Wilson got together in the studio and said, hey, you know, let's see if we can write a song. So the three of us got together and wrote, chord changes for a song. We finished the song, and Carl took the song home, and he wrote words and a melody for it. And I took a song home and wrote my own words and melody for it. And whereupon we never did anything with it. Well, when I started doing my album, I remembered that track, and I went and found it, and sort of finished it up, rewrote everything and finished it up and used that same track that was done 6 years ago.
The cut that's received the most attention from the album is Living in the Limelight, but it almost wasn't on the LP at all.
Living in the Limelight was the last song that I wrote for the album. I recorded about 6 or 7 of the songs, and then took a little, a few months break and rethought things, and I wanted to have one more good rocker on there, and that's when I wrote Living in the Limelight.
Ironically, the Limelight is by no means Peter's favorite place. He explains the origin of the song.
Living in the Limelight to me is, I was reading a book about old movies, and I saw the word limelight. I just thought that everybody gets that feeling, God, if I could only just be where that movie star's at, or and so that's what kind of inspired the song. But I don't really enjoy the limelight.
Everybody has a fantasy.
Peter Cetera's album is doing well enough now that he may be forced into the limelight. We'll talk about that reaction tomorrow. This is Joel Denver, Earth News Radio. for Nexus Professional Hair and Skincare Products. Years of stardom with Chicago made Peter Cetera accustomed to the star treatment. Now with his solo album, the reaction isn't quite as automatic, and he likes it that way. This is Joel Denver for Earth News Radio. We'll be back with Peter Cetera after this.
Everybody has a fantasy.
Peter Cetera maintains a low-key attitude towards his first solo album. There's no big push on, and he hasn't decided to tour, but the record has done very well in radio airplay, and he finds the no-hype approach very refreshing.
It's very exciting to me, yeah. It's like somebody asked me if I was upset because people were treating me like, a new artist because I didn't get the big hype and all that stuff. And I'm not upset. I mean, I kind of like it.
At first, though, the reaction bordered on indifference. Luckily for Peter, that attitude changed.
A lot of people, especially radio people, when they saw the album, they sort of threw it away. You know, they didn't want to hear any more of this refried whatever. But I've been talking to them recently, and a lot of them have said, "Hey, I didn't listen to the album," and a few weeks down the line, somebody said, "Hey, you should listen to this album."
Just for the record, here's a short review of the LP from Peter himself.
I like the whole album, though, so I'm prejudiced.
Peter's prejudice is shared by enough radio programmers and record buyers that he's decided to continue his solo efforts.
Right this week, I've kind of made up my mind. I'm starting it as I sit here talking to you. I'm starting my next solo album. Right here in my very head, I'm thinking of songs at this very moment.
Leaving Peter to create new songs, this is Joel Denver and Earth News Radio for Nexus Professional Hair and Skincare Products.